This is how you complete all your quests without taking any damage. And this is a way to reach max money as a noob. This is a complete Blox Fruits guide to help you become the best player. The most important thing about Blox Fruits, fruits. Once you have a Blox Fruit equipped, you completely lose your ability to swim. So if you step foot in water, you will instantly start taking huge amounts of damage. If you have one fruit equipped and you eat a different fruit, you completely lose the abilities of the fruit you originally had. This is because you can't have two fruits at the same time in the game. Unless obviously you bought your fruit with Robux, in that case you can permanently have it. And even if you eat a different fruit, you can go back to the Blox Fruits dealer and just equip your fruit again. And for whatever reason, if you decide you don't like fruits anymore and you don't want to have one, you can make your way over to this prison, and if you go to the back of it, there should be this guy, and if you pay him a certain amount of BELI, he completely removes the abilities of your Blox Fruit. I don't know why anyone would ever want to do this, but you do you, I guess. And this is the more technical side of Blox Fruit, so I'm going to be talking about fruit stocks. So you're going to notice that there's two major fruit NPCs when it comes to this game: the Blox Fruit dealer and the Blox Fruit gacha. The Blox Fruit gacha is an NPC that gives you a random physical version of a fruit when you talk to him. Obviously, the downside of this is that it's random and you're probably not going to get a good fruit, but you should always roll a fruit if you have a chance, because you can only do it every 2 hours, and the cost for this is determined by the player's level. And for the Blox Fruit dealer, he basically just sells you the abilities of every single fruit in the game, but keep in mind that it's only the abilities and not the physical form of the fruit. And if you go to this website, it's going to show you the chance that each fruit can be in stock, but in my opinion, the fruits that you definitely want to keep your eye on are the leopard, doe, and Buddha. Now I'm going to talk about mastery, and mastery is something that you're going to notice as soon as you start playing the game. It's on every single form of damage: combat styles, swords, guns, and Blox Fruits. If you look at the abilities on any of your weapons, you'll notice that some of them have a mastery requirement, and that's one of the things that mastery helps you with. The higher your mastery, higher your damage is. So mastery basically also lets you increase the amount of damage you do. And another thing that I must tell you guys is, do not get your mastery confused with your main level. Those are completely different things. And obviously your mastery on each weapon is going to be different. For example, if I have a high mastery on this sword and then I use this other sword, it's not going to have the same amount of mastery. And also the mastery that you get on something stays permanently even if you switch out of it. So for example, if I eat this smoke fruit and I get the mastery up to this amount, then I eat a different fruit, but then I decide I don't like this fruit and I switch back to the smoke fruit again, I keep the same amount of mastery that I had. So that's something that's pretty helpful. So I'm going to be telling you about melee. Melee is a stat that you upgrade, which also increases your energy level and the amount of damage you do with your combat style. It's a very important stat because it basically covers two at once, and melee is the most important stat in the game, and this is what you always want to focus on upgrading. When you buy really insane fighting styles later on, it's going to help a ton. Okay, so this is something about stats. I'm going to be telling you guys what every single stat does. So melee, what it does is it increases the damage for your fighting styles and also increases the amount of energy that you have. Your defense stat just gives you more health, and the sword stat just increases the damage for any sword that you use, no matter what level its mastery is. And the gun stat just does the same for guns. It increases the damage of your guns, but you don't want to use this, trust me. And Blox Fruit, exactly the same. It just upgrades the damage for your Blox Fruit. So this way is a pretty easy way to earn a huge amount of money really quickly if you're a beginner. All you have to do is make your way over to the Pirate Flag Island, and then you have to go collect every single chest on this island, and then you just simply server hop. And if you keep doing this over and over, the amount of money that you get will help you a lot. And this is really good for beginners because you just simply have to walk around and collect some chests. Easy peasy. Okay, so now this is a fruit that you definitely want to keep your eye on. I'm talking about the smoke fruit, and this fruit is really good for new players. And the reason for this is that it's the lowest level elemental type fruit in the game. So using the chest grinding method, this should be pretty easy to get. And it also has a 25% stock chance, so you're only gonna have to wait 1 day to get it. And the reason this fruit is so good is because when you unlock the flying ability, it basically just gives you infinite flight and you'll be pouring out a ton of damage. So you can just fly over your enemies and just keep spamming damage on them, and they just won't be able to hit you at all. And if you can't afford this fruit, some pretty easy ways to get it is if you see any high level player in your game, you can simply just beg for the fruit, and there's a good chance that they'll give it to you. But you have to be in the second sea for this, so it's probably not that good of a choice. So you probably just want to stick to buying it with money. Okay, so you're gonna notice this green compass on the left side of your screen, and this compass is gonna be your best friend throughout your whole Blox Fruits journey. It tells you the next NPC that you have to find for your quest. Once you click on your compass and then you click on this button, it's just gonna start directing you to the nearest quest giver. And you always want to keep an eye out for this because that's the best place that you're going to want to go to grind your levels. Okay, so this is something that you definitely want to keep your eye on. Every player in Blox Fruits that's below the level of 20 will not take any damage from other players. And this is something that's really good for new players because you just can't get harassed by some overpowered player with a 30 million bounty. Keep in mind, once you pass level 20, you will start taking damage from other players even if they're max levels. But as long as you're under 20, you can just keep enjoying your time in the game. And this is something that's really easy for new players to do. All you have to do is go on Google and just search up Blox Fruits codes and then enter this website, and then it's going to show you every single active code available that you can enter on Blox Fruits. And the place that you enter the codes is on the left side of the screen. You just click the Twitter button and there you go. Okay, so this is a fighting style you definitely want to save up for if you're a new player. I'm talking about Water Kung Fu. Water Kung Fu is the best fighting style for leveling up in the whole game. Well, at least in the first seed. Later on, you can upgrade it to a thing called Sharkman Karate, but I won't be talking about that. If you make your way down over to Fishman Island and you walk behind this secret hidden wall, you can find the NPC that sells it to you for 750,000 BELI. And it has some really good abilities as well. The Z ability is my personal favorite because it's really good for dishing out damage, and it's also a pretty good ability for movement. There are also other combat styles, but this is definitely the one you want to keep your eye on. And this is a mistake that a lot of beginners make: upgrading your gun stat or even buying guns. I'm going to tell you guys right now, guns are one of the most useless things in the whole of Blox Fruits. And the reason for this is that there are many better options. You always want to keep your eye on fighting styles, swords, and fruits. You never want to focus on guns. I know some of you might be saying guns are pretty cool and some of the abilities are interesting, but it definitely does not help you grind. There's just tons of better options, and you definitely don't want to waste your money or time trying to level up or get a gun. So this is a feature that's in the game and a lot of you already noticed, but you want to constantly keep using it. It's called dashing, and you want to use this everywhere you go because it saves a lot of time and takes you to your destination much faster. It also kind of lets you go over water, and this is really useful, especially if you have a Blox Fruit equipped, or else you just die. Basically, what happens when you dash above water is that it prevents you from falling really fast, and you can kind of just travel really long distances with it. And you can also use this for fighting NPCs. For example, if you're using a sword or a combat style, you can quickly hit an NPC and dash away before they hit you. And if you have your defense stat really low, this is going to help you a ton. And later on, when you get accessories and different races and upgrade your movement speed, it also upgrades your dashing. And this is something that helps you a ton in PvP as well. Like if you're fighting other players, you want to be as unpredictable as possible. So you want to just try your best to dash all over the place. But overall, it's just a really good ability and you want to keep using it. And this is a mistake that even I made when I started off playing the game, and it's really important that you don't do the same. Basically, when you have your quests equipped and you're just killing your NPCs, you don't notice it much, but you get a huge amount of XP from your quests. And that's the main way that you level up in the game. It's not from actually killing the NPCs, it's completing the quest. So if you take a quest like this, you can see the huge amount of money that it gives you, but NPCs only give you this small amount. So make sure you always equip your quests and you're not just killing NPCs for no reason. Okay, so now I'm going to be telling you guys about something a lot of new players will definitely not notice. I'm talking about races. So you have a 50% chance of being spawned in as a human, and the other races in the game are Sky Person, Mink, Cyborg, Fishman, and Ghoul. And once you get a higher level in the game, you can change your race, but it does cost a huge amount. Or if you're in the first sea, you could just spend a bunch of Robux and change your race. But keep in mind that changing your race is random, so there's no guarantee that you can get the race that you want, and you could end up losing a lot of Robux. Once you get into later stages in the game, you can upgrade your race and awaken them, and this gives your race a huge amount of really insane and cool abilities. Okay, so now I'm talking about something about quests that's really important, and make sure you do not make this mistake. So every now and then, you're going to encounter a quest that has a boss, and once you finish killing the boss, you're going to notice that it takes a huge amount of time for it to respawn, and in this time, you definitely do not want to just be waiting for the boss to respawn. You want to start repeating the same quest that you're doing, even if it's not the highest level of quest that you should be doing. And this is because the boss takes 20 whole minutes to respawn, so you just want to focus on the other quest, because that way at least you keep leveling up and you're not just wasting 20 minutes for no reason. So this is something that you definitely want to keep your eye on for. It's NPC sellers. These are people that just sell you different things like swords, accessories, or combat styles. So as far as fighting styles go, this is where you find the Electric Person just on this random island outside Skylands. And then for Dark Step, you can find it in the Pirate Village in between these houses. And for Water Kung Fu, you can go into Fishman Island and it's right here behind this wall. But there's also a bunch of NPCs in the game hidden in really secretive places. For example, this guy in Marine Fortress, did you know you could walk into this tower and if you go down this ladder, there's a guy that sells you something here. Nice. And there's loads more, so make sure every island that you're on, you carefully search the place because you don't want to miss anything. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about farming BELI. BELI is obviously the main main currency used in Blox Fruits, and this is definitely what you want to get your hands on. So one really good way to farm it is using the chest farming method from before, but another pretty obvious way to use it is from killing NPCs. Every time you kill an NPC, they give you a specific amount of belly, depending on the level of the NPC. For example, if I kill an NPC in Upper Sky Island compared to the NPC on the Starter Island, you can see a huge difference. And this one is for the people with a bunch of spare Robux to spend. If you're looking to level up and get out of the first sea, the game passes that you definitely want to spend your money on is double mastery, double money, and double XP. So all of these are really self-explanatory. Double mastery gives you double mastery, double money gives you double money from everything you kill and collect, and double XP doubles the amount of XP you get from quests and killing NPCs, making it twice as fast to get to max level. There are other game passes to spend your money on, but those aren't really as important as these ones.